Sports Update, your home for Oswego Sports and beyond. I'm Evan Kalus.
And I'm Joe Maganiello. Our top stories for tonight: Zach Greinke has sustained an injury not on the baseball diamond, and the NCAA tournament once again rolls into the city of Oswego. All of this and more, so get ready, because this is OSU. Welcome to another edition of OSU. Evan, baseball is right around the corner.
It can't come any faster, Joe, but Zach Greinke is likely to spend opening day the way I will, watching.
Well, the most coveted offseason prize for the Milwaukee Brewers will miss 4 to 6 weeks after sustaining a hairline fracture while playing a pickup game of basketball before throwing a single pitch for his new ball club. Greinke pitched in 2 games after the injury and wasn't diagnosed until Tuesday. If everything stays as planned, he will start the season on the 15-day DL. Evan, is this kind of action what you want from your new franchise pitcher?
Not really. I'd rather my franchise pitcher be ready for spring training, lead my team to the playoffs, especially with the type of lineup that we have. I don't really mind him playing basketball during the offseason, but when he hurt himself was during the early parts of spring training, which I think does kind of violate his contract clause.
Well, it's always a very, I don't want to say complicated, because it is somewhat straightforward, but these guys are athletes. They want to play all different kind of sports. They want to show off their skills while they're in the prime of their athleticism. Now, with that said, we're also talking about millionaires here. We're also talking about big financial investments. So you got to feel for that situation for Greinke. You hope he can get healthy. And by all accounts, it's not a traumatic injury. He should be able to come back fairly soon. I just feel for that team because that's a very, very good rotation, especially when he's at the top of it.
Yeah, when he is at the top. But they do have Gallardo, Markham, and Randy Wolf, 3 decent pitchers that they can get away with, especially in the early part of the year when the games aren't as important and teams are still trying to get in the flow of things. But I do think that their lineup with Prince Fielder, Corey Hart, that they are able to, compete. And I think if he does miss 1 or 3 starts, that they should be fine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're talking about 3, maybe 4 starts. What I'm concerned about is long term. If this injury were to be re-aggravated, I mean, any starting pitcher, whether they've had injuries in the past or not, is susceptible to injuries because pitching is a very fragile thing. So you just hope that rotation can stay together because that's a very special team that one can compete for a World Series. The Oswego State men's hockey team got some good news on Monday. The Lakers received 1 out of 4 at-large bids for the upcoming NCAA tournament, as well as receiving a first-round bye. They will host Bowdoin, the Bowdoin Polar Bears, Saturday, March 12th at 7 p.m. Oswego State is 22-4 on the season and has an impressive 15 wins in SUNYAC play, the SUNYAC being one of the toughest conferences in Division III. However, it will have been a long 2 weeks since the Lakers last won a game, and then they lost to SUNY Fredonia. Will rust be a factor in Saturday's quarterfinal matchup, Evan?
It may play a factor, but I think Oswego is an experienced team that they should be able to get through it. Last year, this is the exact same matchup that they had with Bowdoin. They beat them actually 9-2 in the quarterfinal games to advance to the Final Four. But the big question is rust, and that they did kind of had a sour taste at the end of the year, losing a couple of their last games. But it'll be interesting to see how they do.
Well, they're 2-2 since February 12th, and I feel like that's something that shouldn't be overlooked. They're a team that has a ton of talent. They've spent most of the year at #1 for Division III. That's all well and good, but this is also a team that has only played 4 games since February 12th. They've lost 2 of them. All of them were on their home ice, and you just got to wonder, what that's all about. Is it, late in the year, did they not have anything to play for, or are there some susceptible spots for this team?
That is the big question. Is the goaltending, I think, has been pretty good with Beckwith lately. It is with their scoring. They haven't been able to score at all, as we've seen when they lost in the semifinals game. When they, in overtime against a 6 seed, they just couldn't put in the back of the net, and then eventually Oswego, they gave it up. But I think with the long layoff, it will help them. They can, gain some composure, and I think that they can make a pretty deep run. And with the team that they had last year losing in the Final Four, I think they can actually make the championship game and win. So Miami Heat have found themselves in a little bit of a slump. They have dropped 5 straight games since the acquisition of Mike Bibby and have lost 6 of their last 7, beating only the Washington Wizards. The streak could very well continue tomorrow as they take on the Lakers. Granted, the losses were against playoff caliber teams. Should the Heat be worried right now?
Yes, but not at the level that some certain networks, and I won't name names, but are making out to be. The reality is that this is a team that has a losing record all season against winning teams. That's nothing new. They're a team that is a young team. They have a young nucleus that hasn't been playing a lot of games together. And when you think about the Heat in the playoffs, could they beat the Celtics in a series? Could they beat the Bulls or the Magic? I don't think the answer's ever been yes. They haven't proven it. Then, Ev, I think if you look at the Heat, the way they've been playing against these contenders, it's what should be expected. They're not good enough yet.
But the thing is, they've been losing close games. It hasn't been like they've been blown out every single time. It's been close. LeBron James has been missing a couple, baskets at the end. But I think Wade and James are playing really good together right now. But it's just getting in with Chris Bosh. I think Chris Bosh is having trouble getting into his rhythm, as we saw last night in his press conference. He looked upset. It looked like he was about to cry again. But I think they can still make a run, but the thing is, it's their bench. Their bench only averages 22 points a game, which is huge. Because if you look at the Celtics bench, they still have Shaq and Jermaine O'Neal, when their bench is so much deeper than the Lakers.
Well, absolutely. That's what makes that team very susceptible to these veteran teams. They don't have the bench. And I think that's the one thing people fail to realize. You see Jeff Van Gundy, one of the smartest people in the game of basketball, predicting, 70-plus wins? This team, it wasn't built to win 70 wins. They were built to showcase LeBron, showcase Wade, and kind of cross their fingers everywhere else. So the Heat are going to contend in the playoffs. They're going to put up points. I don't know if they can win yet. The NFL labor talks are continuing to heat up as the 11:59 p.m. Friday night deadline for the collective bargaining agreement approaches. And it's becoming more and more evident how far apart the sides really are. Issues like 18-game seasons, an amendment to the franchise tag, and rookie wage scales apparently haven't even been touched on, because the most pressing matter is how the players' union and the owners will split over $9 billion in revenue. Evan, if not being able to agree on the $9 billion revenue split is going to lead to a lockout, is it fair to say it's all about the money?
Well, money is what makes the world go round, and it's true. That's what the big thing is. Apparently, the NFL is not giving the Players Association the proper documents that they're asking for, but then the owners are saying, yeah, we are giving it to them. So no one knows what's really going on. It does seem like the owners are very greedy, because you never know how much the owners actually make in a year. I've never seen it myself. Have you ever seen?
I've never seen any sums. I haven't been going to Paul Newman's house asking him for his figures. But what I can tell you, the big picture issue here is that the players and all-time players who have seen their health decline. This isn't just about modern-day players. This is kind of like the NFL players all-time. They're fighting for rights here. I just think there's too big a split right now. There's a lot of pressure on the situation. This isn't something that's going to get done in a matter of days. I feel like people shouldn't expect this deadline to be met.
I don't think so either. But like what you said about the experienced players coming out and make a stand, like Kevin White, he's been in the league for over 10 years. He has seen the effects of what players that he's played with before and what's happening. I think the young players don't really see that yet. They just see the paycheck and what they're going to be losing. But I think that the players, if eventually the owners aren't giving what they want, then I think the players should file a lawsuit against them, because it's not fair to them, because they're the ones that are taking the hits. So we'll take a quick break and throw some stories up for grab. When we come back, stick with us, and we'll be back in 90 seconds.
Thinking of you, working on my appetite. Looking forward to a little afternoon delight. My sister shows together, making sparks ignite. And the thought of loving you, so excited. Sky
rockets in flight. Boo! Afternoon delight.
I think you got it.
Hi, I'm Woodsy Owl, and I'm here to tell you about a dirty word, water pollution. Kids, it's up to us to keep our lakes and streams clean and beautiful. We've been polluting the water with all kinds of junk, like paper, cans, and gooey gunk. It looks ugly, and it's killing our fish and ducks. Please don't throw junk in the water. Get along. Don't pollute. In the city or in the woods, let's keep America looking good.
Gordon, I'm a sauce. Go away.
Retired Giants running back Tiki Barber decided to come out of retirement and join a new team. The Giants have said they will not pick up Barber, who rushed for at least 1,000 yards each season from 2002 to 2006 for the Giants. After 4 years of retirement, will Barber be successful at all in his return?
I think Barber certainly will be successful. I think you can't take away talent. I know he's old, but you also have to imagine that after 4 years of not being pounded, he might actually have a fresher body than a 24-year-old player, 25-year-old player. I think when it's all said and done, Barber needs to find a contender that needs, needs a running back of his caliber. But I don't know if anyone will know until a labor union gets fixed.
Yeah, I have to disagree with you. I think 36 is way too old. LT, who is 31 years old, I know he's been playing, longer, I guess, than Barber, but they're saying he's washed up. Who's going to take a 36-year-old
Yeah, but
player?
you don't think there's a place for him in the league at all?
No, I don't think at all. How's he going to prove himself? And maybe he'll get a training camp contract.
5 or 6 carries. 5 or 6 carries a game.
All right, Brian?
Thanks, guys. Jim Tressel will be suspended for 2 games this coming season after it was uncovered that he had knowledge of his players selling school and NCAA memorabilia. Last year, the 5 players, including quarterback Terrell Pryor, were suspended for 5 games. Is Tressel's punishment enough?
I don't think so. 2 games. The 2 games that he's missing is against Akron and Toledo. 2 games that mean nothing. I think the NCAA will actually come harder down on Ohio State just because that Tressel lied and now that Terrell Pryor and all of those players are getting in trouble. I think they're going to see a serious sanction, maybe one like USC, and maybe Tressel could be gone by the end of this year.
I don't know if Ohio State's going to ever fire Tressel. I think this situation is more of they need to get the penalty right. Clearly, Tressel deserves more games, more significant games. The money thing is what it is. But here's what I'm concerned about. This isn't the first time we're going to hear all season about this kind of thing. Coaches, it's getting to be slimy right now in college football. You hope they can fix this soon. Brian, next.
Right, last night's rivalry game between the Boston Bruins and the Montreal Canadiens took an ugly turn when Zdeno Chara checked Max Pacioretty into the barrier between the 2 benches. He suffered a broken vertebrae in his neck and a severe concussion. Chara was not disciplined by the league for the hit. Should he have been?
I have a hard time with this one because I don't think Chara's intent was to harm Pacioretty. I think the problem here was circumstance, the way the arena is built, and I think ultimately it's a hockey thing more. Maybe you got to just take a little of the aggression away when you're dealing in that part of the arena. It's just a sensitive subject. A lot of damage happens to Pacioretty. I don't think it's Chara's fault.
Yeah, I don't think it's Chara's fault at all. This rivalry with Boston and the Canadiens has been heating up. I think he meant to give him a little tap, but I don't think no one means to break someone's neck. But I think it was a good call by the NHL not to fine him. Brian?
All right, and finally, guys, Chase Utley and the Phillies are weighing their options this offseason for alternatives to surgery. Utley has a bone inflammation in his knee and isn't responding to non-operative treatments such as cortisone shots. Should he forfeit the 2011 season and have surgery or not?
As it's looking right now, it seems that Chase Utley may be looking to forfeit the whole season. And this is kind of interrupting the Phillies' little perfect plan they have here, getting Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee. I mean, it's kind of sad to see because Chase Utley is an extremely good ball player. He's never been linked to anything. Seems like a good role model. But the Phillies seem to be in trouble with their offense, with Jimmy Rollins being on a little bit decline and losing Jason Worth. I don't know. This could be a little troublesome right here.
This is a bad move at a bad time for the Phillies. The reality is that Chase Utley is probably the best second baseman in the game when he's healthy. His replacement would end up being Wilson Valdez, who's a utility man, not nearly the same caliber. This very much limits them. I wouldn't be surprised if this move makes the Braves the favorite in the East, and you can quote me on that. This is a big move. All right, Bri, great round with Would You Rather. It was a great job.
So thanks, Brian. And we'll be coming back to you in just in a bit. Now we'll take another break, and we come back, we'll kick off a new segment on the show. So stay tuned.
Thinking of you, working on my appetite. Looking forward to a little afternoon delight. Mama and sister so together, making sparks ignite. And the thought of loving you, so exciting. Sky
Rockets in flight. Boo! Afternoon delight.
I think you got it.
Gordon, I'm a sauce. Go away.
Hey, Oswego. This is a new segment of the show called Would You Rather? So let's go.
All right, Joe, would you rather be the surging Buffalo Sabres or the slowly falling Philadelphia Flyers?
I would rather be the best team in the NHL, and that's the Flyers. I know that they're struggling, but you look at, in any sport, the most talented teams, they're going to get the best from their opponents, and they're going to have moments where they have to finagle things. Even the best teams have to add a piece or add a new approach. Flyers are fine. They're the team to beat in the NHL.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I love the Flyers, over 80 points already, and they're a lock in the playoffs, and the Sabres are not. They might, they may be home in April, so I like being the Flyers.
And the reality is the Sabres aren't a bad team, but the Flyers are just the best team.
Yes.
That's the way it is. All right, Evan, would you rather take quarterback Cam Newton or quarterback Ryan Mallett in this year's NFL draft?
This is a pretty tough choice, but I like how Cam Newton is more athletic than most players in the draft. But I think Ryan Mallett is extremely good the way he drops back. He has a strong arm, but I don't like how slow he is. He runs over a 5-second 40, so he's only going to get slower as he gets older. So I'm going to take Cam Newton.
I think the quarterback's a position in the NFL that gets overemphasized in the draft because of how important it is in the game. The reality is none of the quarterbacks this year are worth that top 5 pick. Certainly not that top 5 money. If that stays. Cam Newton's a low first rounder, but I like the fact that he's a winner. He won all his games this past year. I think he could do well in the NFL.
So, Joe, would you rather have Jake Peavy or Chris Carpenter as your starting opening day pitcher?
Well, I think right now the main difference between the two is Peavy has been hurt as of late. You saw Chris Carpenter early in his career in 2007, 2008, he misses all those seasons. Jake Peavy, though, since the start of 2008, only 26 wins, limited time. I think right now the safe bet's Carpenter. And you also have to remember, Carpenter has a lot more at stake. The Cardinals are a World Series contender, and he has to be the ace this year. Carpenter's going to get the job done.
I don't know. I think the White Sox are also a pretty big contender in the Central there. And I think, it's been since 2007 since he's had a full year of actual pitching. I really hope that he can actually not be like a Mark Pryor and end his career, or Kerry Wood, end up in the bullpen. But I do have to agree with you, Chris Carpenter is a safe bet.
Oh, the White Sox are a great team. I think the White Sox could win that division. Certainly a great team. Ev, Who would you rather have late in an NCAA tournament game, Jimmer Fredette or Kemba Walker?
Oh, man, we had this discussion last week, but I got to take Jimmer Fredette. I know you love him too, but he just has an amazing shot. He makes everything. He's scored over 40 points multiple times this year. He electrifies that team. He gets so into the game. You got to take him. Kemba Walker, nothing to take away from him. He's a great player, but Jimmer I just think is way too good.
I think the biggest difference between these two players is where they're coming from on their team. Jimmer means so much to their team as far as identity. When you look at Fredette, he has to make the big shots. I think Kemba has a better supporting cast, but if you saw what he's been doing, especially in that game against Georgetown today, Kemba Walker is a special player. Both guys, you can't go wrong. I'm going to give the edge to Fredette. He leads the country in points. I mean, what can you say?
Yeah, should be an interesting tournament. So, Joe, would you rather have Steven Stamkos, Vinny Lecavalier, or Martin St. Louis in your shootout lineup, even though they have gone 0 for 12 combined this season?
Well, I know the guys have struggled for this season in the shootout, but I like Martin St. Louis. He's had at least 80 points in every year since 2003. Now, despite the fact that he's 35 years old, I don't think you can dispute that success. He has 76 points on the year this year. He's been one of the best players all season long in the NHL. He would get the job done if I needed him to do it. Well, when we come back, we'll finish the show strong with some high or low, so don't touch that dial.
We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Oh, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. We got a good thing going.
Hi, we're Real Big Fish.
And you're watching WTOP 10.
Like the number.
I graduated from Oswego way back in 1981. And my favorite TV station way back then, of course, WTOP.
Welcome back. Before we come down to the wire, let's go back to Brian for a little game called High or Low. Brian.
Thanks a bunch, Joe. The Lakers men's basketball team received their first NCAA tournament bid this past season. Only losing one starter in Jose Uribe, is there a 50% chance they go back to the tournament?
I'm going to say 90% chance they get back to the tournament. Like you said, it could be actually a little higher, but like we said, they only lose one starter, Jose Uribe. But I love this team. They're Chad Burridge coming back. He's going to be a senior. Hayden Ward's only going to get better. I love them.
I'm going to go 100% chance, and here's why. They only lose one starter. Uribe was a good piece on that team, but they're going to promote Connor Monahan to the starting lineup. It's going to give them a little more talent in the lineup. They returned the SUNY Player of the Year. They won their NCAA tournament opening round game, so the tournament committee knows they're for real. 100% chance they go back. They're going to win more than one game next year.
I'm going to say that Evan won that one with just losses in the starting lineup. I got to say he takes it on the bench too. The Devils have surged since the All-Star break, and the 8th spot in the East is still wide open. Is there a 50% chance that they make the playoffs after a pitiful start this season?
This is a team that's won 21 of their last 25 games. They're hot, red hot. Unfortunately, I don't think they can climb up over the Buffalo Sabres or the Carolina Panthers. I think ultimately they're just a little too good, and there's too much of a gap. 8 games, very hard. I'm going to go 15%.
Ooh, 15, that's pretty high. I'm going to go 5%. They're 8 points back with 16 games back. They are playing extremely great hockey, but I think it's a little too late, especially with the experience that the Sabres have with Ryan Miller. So I think I'm going to win that one again, Joe. Let's see, Brian, who won?
I'm actually going to have to side with Joe on that one. I think they got a shot at it. Plaxico Burress is set to be released from jail on June 6th after Michael Vick came out of jail and put up great numbers. Is there a chance that he will do just as well as Vick? 25%.
I'm going to go a little higher than that. I'm going to say it's 50-50 chance. I think they say that Plaxico in jail has been working out, probably on his fitness like Michael Vick has. He has great talent. We saw that with the Giants, and he's still in his prime of his career, so 50%.
Completely disagree. I'm going to go 10% chance. If we're going to compare the two, Vick had a 6-touchdown performance on Monday Night Football. He started the Pro Bowl. For Burress, that means he'd have to be catching 100 balls a year, become a significant receiver again. He's too old for that. I don't care who he ends up with. He's not going to get to that level. Very low, 10%.
I think, Joe, you win that one again. I don't think he's going to be as great as Vick was. And finally, the Phoenix Coyotes are currently owned by the league and looking to be bought. Is there a 75% chance that they are bought and change cities next season?
I'm going to go way low. I'm going to say 25%. And here's why. I think the league wants a team in Arizona. They want that state to remain relevant in the NHL. You can tell that the NHL, the owners, they don't want to see Phoenix lose their team. So they're certainly going to try to find a buyer, but they're going to stay in Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm going to go about 5%. I think, especially for next year, we would have heard that by now that they're going to be moving. There hasn't even been rumors, but Phoenix, if they want a team around, they got to have. They're second to last in attendance behind the island, in front of the Islanders. But yeah, 5% chance.
Brian, I win. Did I win?
Yes, you did. You got the last one there.
That is very good news. I'm excited.
This game is rigged.
Well, we're about to go down to the wire, Ev. If you're ready, hold on. The Pittsburgh Penguins inked up their head coach Dan Vizluma to an extension through 2014. Good move?
Great move. They won a Stanley Cup with him. It seems as if there are an excessive players being injured this year in spring training. Are the players being overworked?
Baseball is a tough sport on your body, long season. It's just a tough injury sport. Former 15-game winner for the Mets, Oliver Perez, has been kicked out of the upcoming season's rotation. Moved to the bullpen. Evan, is Perez going to be released from the team altogether?
I hope. As a Mets fan, I'm tired of him. He has to go. So congratulations to Kobe Bryant, who moved into 6th all-time scoring list. You impressed?
We're talking about one of the top 5 players of all time, Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest careers we'll ever see. Notre Dame is installing remote-controlled cameras to prevent a similar tragedy to the student that lost his life. Is this a good idea?
I think it's a little too late. They should have had a better judgment last year. So the Butler Bulldogs made their way back into the NCAA tournament once again. Can they cause some problems like last year?
This is a team that's built to be a tournament bugaboo. I think this is a team that could end up in the Sweet 16. Now, Ev, on that note, we're talking about NCAA tournament basketball. What do you like this weekend as far as watching? We got a lot of conference tournaments.
A lot of conference tournaments, but the thing I'm interested in most is the documentary on the Fab Five airing on ESPN at 9. Pretty interested in that. What are you watching?
I'm watching the Big East tournament. I think whenever you're talking about the best conference in a college format, you got to watch them, see who wins. But Big 12 tournament, that's also going to be fun too.
You think there's going to be any upsets this year in the conference tournaments?
In the conference tournaments?
Big East, maybe?
In the Big East, I don't think Pitt's going to win. I think we're going to see maybe a team like Syracuse, maybe an upstate New York team win it all.
I don't know. I don't think it's St. John's. So, Brian, did we make any mistakes today?
Just a couple, guys. Evan, the Lakers are not in the East, so they're not up against the Celtics.
I know, I messed that one up.
That's okay, I understand. Joe, I was not in up for grabs. I was in up for grabs, not would you rather. And Evan, it's Le Cavalier.
I know.
Just throwing that out.
You've been telling me all night. It's just a tough name to do.
It's hard. I get it.
But I kind of have a problem with this game. I think it's kind of rigged.
I don't think so.
Don't hate the player, Ev. Hate the game.
I don't know. We'll see next week. So what do you have plans for spring break?
Going to New York City. I'm very excited. Going to see my best friend's mom in a show down there. It's been very great. Well, that's all the time we have, Evan, for you this evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on WTOP 10. Become a fan of our Facebook page and stay up to date on the show's info by searching Oswego Sports Updates.
Join us next Wednesday at 11 for our new show. or you can watch us anytime on YouTube.